I've been a part of this social media black male space for 5 years. And in this time, African American men have vented their frustrations about the black community on a macroscopic level, and on a very microscopic level, black women and some criticisms of them as a whole. Okay, so we're dealing with the larger community, black women in particular. When black men start to talk about these things, about black women and maybe the children or the single mothers or some of the behavior issues that they'll have, and why they might need to look to date another race or go to other communities, the response from women themselves will be, you can't get a black woman, or you are not strong enough to get a black woman. Okay. And so when black women respond to black men's arguments or notions, it's just that you cannot obtain a black woman. This is the argument. Well, if this is the case, if brothers cannot obtain a black woman, then why do they have complaints of relationships and situations and experiences that go bad with black women? And this is the case, right? I want to talk about this because a lot of times you think that, well, when a black woman will say, you can't get a black woman, look at you, you can't get a black woman, you're fat, you can't get a black woman, you're broke, you can't get a black woman, you're ugly. I want to introduce two people to the conversation. They're fellow YouTubers who say mostly the same things, but from different avenues of the black community. Minister Jap, okay? Minister Jap is a good friend of mine. He would be considered, from what I see a lot of women say on YouTube, oh, he's good looking. I don't understand why he talks so down on black women, because he's a good looking guy. He can get any woman. He can get a lot of women. I don't understand Minister Jap's problem with black women. Then we will go to Xanatos Clutch, who is not like Jap, because Jap is more urban. Clutch is more, how can I say this? Clutch is more suburban. Talks white, okay? You can confuse him for a white guy. But I see women saying the same thing. He's a nice looking guy. You know, he feels like he's in shape. But see, their problem is not getting black women or obtaining black women. And I'll even drop Jap out the conversation and just deal with Clutch. His problem is not that he cannot get one, because sure, you can ask a black woman out on a date. She'll go out there on a date with you. You can have a good night of fun. You can have a month's worth of fun, a month's worth of dating. The issue that black men have with African American women is not obtaining them. It's that they cannot keep them. They cannot keep them, okay? Obtaining here is not the argument. And I want to shout out to Clutch for mentioning this. When we talk about black issues with black men and black women, everybody always says you can't get a black woman. But the problem is, you cannot keep them. That's the argument. Now, let me deal with the keeping the sister. All right? There are issues that black men have from lack of fatherhood, and black women have from lack of fatherhood and lack of parents, that obviously when these two groups of people, for the most part, come together, knowing how to create a functional relationship from dysfunctional backgrounds, not to say that everybody's dysfunctional, but usually you have broken homes coming together on average. Neither person has been trained in how to keep the other group. The woman typically doesn't know her role. A lot of times the brothers don't know their role. And so what you get is discontent. Wow, all of a sudden, I'm trying to deal with her and she seems bored. That's the argument the brothers have. You know, I'm with the black woman and I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing, but she's bored. She doesn't like being in the house every day. She needs something a little bit more exciting. So then she cheats. But when I take my same boring ass to another race who has been raised with a guy that's normally like me, but he's just not black, I get better treatment. Dealing with this woman in a longer relationship is easier to maintain. And that's what we're talking about. Obtaining versus maintaining. Black women in relationships. And a lot of times for even brothers who sound like white guys or brothers who sound a little bit different, it's not that sisters won't give you a chance initially. Because every sister could be open to something different. Like, for example, if you talk to a black woman, especially if she's good looking, you will be surprised of how many different types of guys that she's dated. She hasn't just dated the hood guy. She hasn't just dated the dumb guy. A lot of times she hasn't just dated the black guy. She's dated a variety of different guys. She just is prone to one. And the guy that she allows to maintain her is different from the guy that she let obtain her. And the obtain, maybe you might obtain me for a date. You might obtain me for a few weeks, maybe 6 months. But the guy that will maintain me fits this characteristics. This is what we're talking about. I think that in this argument, when we talk about maintaining, we got to be honest about this. Black people do not go, and I'm talking about in our culture. Obtaining is worth more than maintaining, especially for men. And people getting the girl's number, what we do and all that. But we don't look for long-term relationships, okay? And what ends up happening is for black people who are looking for long-term relationships, both men and women, they are mixed in with the people who are looking for obtaining relationships. And what happens at this point is you get people who get disgruntled because they can't find people who are serious. So then they feel that if I'm a black man, I want to have a maintained relationship with a woman. Black women, for the most part, for the kind of guy that I am, they are not going to be a good fit. Because everybody can have a maintained relationship with the right person for them. But for a lot of brothers who don't fit the I have the nigger juice type of mentality, she's not going to let me allow her to maintain her. Therefore, I'll go to Becky. I will go to Mylene. Because she's looking for somebody like me that wants to be in a maintained relationship. So this is what we're talking about today. All right, guys? And that's the argument. You can't get a black woman argument. I think that's a little shallow. Every brother has dealt or been in a relationship for the most part with some African American woman. Okay, if you have dated them and you have complaints, how can you have these complaints unless you dated them? All right. So guys, what do you think about this? Make sure you comment below, hit the bell, subscribe to the channel, check out my Patreon, patreon.com/NegroManosphere. You don't want to miss out on that. And as you know, the buffoonery remains at an all-time high. I'm out.